Nobody likes being told anything by a 20-year-old, first of all.
You're still listening. This is our final transmission.
Here, it's the Final Transmission podcast. It's Sam Russo and Jamie Carruthers. It's one horror movie a week from the dawn of time until the end of time. How are you, Jamie?
I'm great. I miss saying that now. I've said it twice in a row, and now I feel like it's been yanked from my jaws.
Sorry about that. Why don't you do it now?
The moment's over, mate. You fucking...
Snaked you.
Yeah.
I did it in one breath. I didn't know where to stop. Sorry. Maybe next week you'll get the hat trick.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe not. Who knows?
So until then, I was doing great. How are you, mate?
Absolutely killing it. Top of the world. I've done everything and I'm ready to go.
Top of the world, looking down on creation.
Is that another Insane Clown Posse lyric?
No, it's some sort of Bible song, right?
Is it? Oh, I don't know. Heard a lot about this Bible. Never actually got stuck in personally. Read a few bits. Didn't really grab me.
It's a bit of a slog, a bit of a rough hang.
It's kind of long, yeah. And there's a lot of versions and they never really there's no real plot. It's just a bit of a mess.
Yeah. Needed another pass, really. Another draft.
Yeah. Speaking of plotless messes, here we are talking about a horror film.
It's true. We're talking about the 2026 brand spanking new zeitgeist gripping Backrooms, directed by Kane Parsons.
How fresh of us. How delightfully ambitious of us. What a treat.
Yeah. Obviously, this is brand new. So there's no, were you aware of this beforehand conversation that we can have?
There definitely is, from you to me, because I will not have been aware of anything. You'll be pleased to know.
Well, were you aware of the sort of internet short films that preceded this?
Not until I watched the film and then read about it afterwards.
Yeah. I have watched some of them, and it's more of the same, isn't it?
Is it? Don't know. You tell me.
Yeah.
Is it good stuff though?
I mean, it's shorter, and it's like, what's it called? There's like less lip service to creating a plot.
Okay, I know how you feel about this film. We can't have any kind of pretense that I don't know how Jamie feels about this because he's texting me about it.
Yeah.
So why don't you just tell the lovely fuckers what you think of this film?
Well, I'm gonna blow your mind, Sam. I actually quite like it.
Oh, bloody hell. Make your mind up.
So, on my first watch, I found it really frustrating because we'll get into this when we get into spoilers, but it's plotted in a way that, like, it pretends that there's a plot and you're meant to care about characters. And in reality, you're not. In reality, you're just meant to sort of soak up the spooky vibes.
Okay.
And on my second watch, knowing how I felt about the plot, I was able to sort of put that to one side and be like, okay, it wants me to soak up the vibes. I don't need to worry about what's happening with these characters and who they are and what their motivations are. And so I was able to enjoy it. I was able to meet it where it wanted to be, or where I wanted it to be at least. And it made it a much better experience.
Interesting.
What did you think?
I absolutely fucking loved every second of it. I thought it was wonderful. I thought it was genuinely immersive, gripping, borderline enchanting, and for me, an absolute rank amateur noob in all things cultural. I thought it was really original.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is quite original.
Mm.
I mean, it's obviously, it's based in lots of things that already exist.
Mm.
I mean, literally in terms of like the IP, I guess, is IP that already exists, but not IP that has broken through to the mainstream. It's impossible to read about this movie in any real depth because you just end up in like a sludge of people talking about insane lore that means nothing.
Yeah, all this like, I don't know. I mean, I quite enjoy that because it feels like, it's going to sound so old, but it feels like old internet. Do you know what I mean? There's so much rumor milling and there's so much, unsubstantiated hype type chat and such like cryptic artifacts. You know, these short films, these pictures, these moments, these sort of atmospheric conjurings of aesthetic that exist dotted throughout different realms of the internet. I really like that kind. I mean, it was exactly the same for me with Blair Witch Project, all the different multimedia build up and stuff. I really like that about it. I think it gives it a genuine sense of mystique.
Well, so I like that. The issue is that there are people that have been miring in this soup for way longer than me, and they talk in incomprehensible nonsense.
Oh, I see.
It's like walking into a room where everyone's been having the same conversation for 10 years, and you're like, hey guys, what's with the yellow room? And they're like, well, King Bleebity Bloop has sucked off a elf on Gorgamel Mountain back in 1920 brick, and like
So it's like going to work, basically.
it's like going to work, except I can it's much harder to black.
Okay.
It's it's
harder to pretend you know what you're doing.
it's like going to work, except I don't have to engage. So
Right.
I read it on like a Reddit thread, and I'm like, okay, click.
Yeah.
Whereas at work, I can't be like, okay, click. Where's all my money at the end of the month?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I do enjoy most movies that warrant that level of rabid fandom. I really enjoy when people, I mean, Lord of the Rings fans aside, I really enjoy when people dig so deep into something that it becomes a huge part of their spare time. You know, that people who write fan fiction and stuff. I think that's pretty cool. It's just a total stoke that people are so into this and that they've read so deeply into it. You know, we don't give literature buffs a hard time for reading so deeply into, you know, into works of literature that it no longer even resembles the original thing that we're talking about.
It's true, but there isn't a community of like Pride and Prejudice fans that are like, our collective read of this is the fact. And if you think something is different, if you think something differently to me, then you are wrong or stupid or it's Reddit, so you're an F slur. Like,
well, there is, but it's they're called teachers.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And unfortunately, they shape the minds of our youth. But yeah, I totally hear what you're saying. It's definitely a big double-edged sword, as with anything internet culture based. But yeah, after watching this, and as usual, feeling like I did the right thing, knowing nothing about it going in. I'd seen the trailer, and I watched it with a group of people, and it was one of those incredibly rewarding walkaways where everyone's talking about it. It's a swirl of opinions, including lots of people that you didn't go with. You're overhearing other people talking, and slowly piecing together how you feel on the walk home. I love that. You're kind of unpicking it afterwards, processing the feelings. And I don't think I realized during the film, I don't think I realized just how scared I was. Like genuine tension, ratcheted up to the point of like teeth splitting levels. And then when I left and you drop your shoulders a bit, you realize just how deeply into your pores that atmosphere is sunk. And I think it was incredibly effective in that regard. I absolutely loved the sort of simultaneous progression of the character development and the mystery. I know that was something that felt better to you on second viewing, but I just sort of, I really felt like both were simmering at a really high level for the whole film, well, up until like a certain point, without spoilers. And from then on, you're on a pretty rapid downhill towards some kind of conclusion. And even the criticisms that I had about the ending, over time on that walk home, I came to realize were basically not even criticisms at all, just a part of a frustrating experience that was kind of curated and dangled in front of me. And then I found out how fucking young the director was and nearly lost my mind. And I had a lovely time researching this after the fact. So did you know much Kane Parsons' lore before you watched this, apart from the obvious?
No, I mean, I knew that he was 20 or 19 or whatever when he made this, and that he'd also made a bunch of the short films.
Yeah.
But I hadn't seen any at that point. I was just sort of aware that this was like the zeitgeisty movie that everyone was stoked about. I think it had been screened at like Fantastic Fest or like one of those like big festivals, sort of genre-y festivals in America, and people were really stoked on it. And I think, and one of my biggest issues with the film in the first instance was I don't need this 20-year-old kid or whatever to tell me how hard it is to be a grown-up. Do you know what I mean?
What a fucking take. Oh my God.
Do you not think that that's what the film is about? Just like how shit it is to be an adult.
I mean, I hadn't thought about it that way, but this absolute sideswipe of a take is going to take a little bit of breaking down. Okay, so nobody likes being told anything by a 20-year-old, first of all. Not even a 21-year-old. But what I was told by this 20-year-old is, fucking hell, you're a talented lad. Crikey, I could barely get my trousers on and get out of the house at 20. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's made this astonishing.
No disrespect to what he's made.
Of course,
it's just,
but you
it's
take
just,
offence.
it's what he's saying that I don't like.
So what do you think he's saying? Obviously, without putting too fine a point on it or spunking your wad too early, what is it about adulthood that you think is being portrayed specifically in this film as being quote-unquote difficult?
Every character, obviously all the characters are adults, and every character is having basically a really fucking horrible time as a result of their own narcissism, anger issues, depression, and like basically are forced into a situation where they have to reckon with the darkest parts of themselves.
Yeah.
In order to whatever happens, in order for that to happen. And I just, I'm not mad at him because he's 20. I'm mad because it's so good.
What a feeling. I love that, though. I love that, you know, whenever you hear a band and you go away and you look them up and you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, they're 14 or whatever. Or whatever. You know, it's always an extra layer of admiration if somebody does something this mature artistically from such a young perspective.
Yeah.
I do find that genuinely impressive. I think
I think some of it is a bit naive in like it's
so.
in the way that it's sort of displayed or like thought through. It doesn't quite. I think if he made this movie when he's 30, it would be a very different movie to the movie that he made now.
Quite possibly. I think, again, like I'm not saying that I know what this movie is drawing from or based on really, but the cinematic touch points that were hitting for me throughout the film were very mature works.
Yeah.
So I wasn't referencing a lot of, road trip or
no
or anything that most 20-year-olds are trying to fucking ape at that point in their lives. And I did think, I didn't get that take at all, to be honest, about adulthood being hard more generally. But I do think there's something being said about, well, there's lots of thematic stuff to explore later on, obviously. But I thought that it was interesting that the characters were of a certain age, definitely.
One of the things that I found most frustrating about Backrooms, and I absolutely think this is a choice, is that it's completely unconcerned with establishing like a coherent timeline. There are things that happen that feel like they're happening concurrently, and they must have some time in between them in order for them to make any sense. For example, the breakup, him, Chiwetel Ejiofor's character breaking up with his wife. In fact, why don't we, at this point, Sam, why don't we do a quick synopsis, take a break, we'll come back. We won't get into spoilers just yet, but we'll take a bit of a break, and then we'll dig into some of the finer points of the non-spoilery stuff.
Yeah.
So Clark, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, is a angry man who owns a furniture superstore somewhere in LA, in the Santa Clarita Valley. Following a fallout with his wife, he's forced to live in the store. While in there at night, he discovers some sort of, we'll call it a door, that leads to a place that looks very similar to the store, but is different somehow, and seems to go on indefinitely. As Clark explores the titular Backrooms, we come to learn that maybe he's not alone back there. ...
Spicy little synopsis.
Hilarity ensues.
Yeah, hijinks ensues.
That's a synopsis. Here's a break. We'll see you in a minute for some more non-spoilers.
Whoa, holy shit.
I guess that's why they call it Phantom Power.
Sam, I am back from my break. Are you back from your break?
Couldn't be more back.
Before we get into before we continue non-spoilers, let's just take a quick moment to send people over to redscare.net.
Redscare.net, your destination for independent, free-thinking punk rock music that will not only get you laid, but make you smile. Go over to redscare.net now and enjoy.
Enjoy. Yeah, so what I was saying before, one of the things that I found quite frustrating on my first watch, and maybe it's still a bit on my second watch, is how unconcerned it is with establishing like a linear timeline.
Kids don't care about time, Jamie.
Well, they should, because it goes by really fast, man.
It's an outmoded concept. They're not concerned.
So basically, like, a bunch of stuff happens and it feels like it all happens in a day, but it must happen over an extended period of time.
Yeah, I took most of that to be the fluid and absolutely incomprehensible nature of this interdimensional.
Well, like stuff like
planetary
it's
race.
happening before we even get there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What happens?
So at the start of the movie, he goes from his therapy session to the furniture shop where he sleeps,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody has spray painted "rip off" on the wall.
Yeah.
Like, when he left. If he was sleeping there, he must have left and would have seen that, right?
If you went out that door, yeah, you'd assume so.
So, like, my assumption from that is that happened. This point of the movie happens before he's sleeping at the store.
Oh, okay.
But like, there's no linear path from that to that. I think the Backrooms themselves look great. So they made quite a lot of that. Also, quite a lot of it is CGI.
Yeah.
I think because they're, basically static shapes, it's very easy to make that in CGI and it not look terrible. I saw a bunch of behind the scenes stuff where it was just like a room with like a blue square or a green square in the middle of it or whatever. And that was like how they did some of the other stuff.
Yeah, I guess you essentially template it, don't you? And then, different objects in different places, different dimensions, different. What I liked about that is that it never, for my money, went so far that it was obviously, all computer generated or all,
Yeah, I mean, I have some issues with some of the CGI in this movie.
Yeah, I can't say I love it. And I obviously, as always, would prefer it was all practical, even if that means scaling it back a little bit. I mean, I loved that it felt like it was escalating throughout the movie. I found that to be like part of the tension was that the deeper you went, the more fucked up it seemed to get, which I really, really enjoyed. And I think the subtlety of it is what won me over, because it wasn't like, for the most part, it didn't feel particularly extreme. It didn't feel like it was going way over the top to convince you this place is weird. It had a Black Lodge-esque quality to it in that regard. Like, why would there be a vase in here? It wasn't like, look at these fucking, I don't know, mutant CGI dogs running around, which, again, like, appeals to my particular taste. And I just like the subtlety of, like, there's no reason for that wall to be there. There's absolutely no reason for this geometric shape. Like, the most unnerving thing for me, possibly in the whole movie, is how many carpeted slopes there are. I just don't think carpeted slopes should exist. Carpet should always be flat or like airport level slope. That should be basically it.
Yeah.
But it was really fun and really eerie to see people scrambling up carpeted slopes. It's something about that is just so wrong to me. It feels very there's just a textural horror to it that drives me nuts.
Yeah, there's a moment that is like, they do hang a small hat on it in the movie, but like the way that you stack chairs one on top of the other, and then like in the back rooms when you pick it up, it's one chair. It's like the back room has seen what this two chairs stacked on top of each other looks like, but it doesn't realize that it's two individual things that are together.
Yeah,
and I like that was some of the best stuff to me. Is just like, okay, how do I reconcile this as a person that knows what this is versus this sort of place that doesn't know what this is? Like, how does that work?
It's a gleefully frightening misinterpretation of the mechanical makeup of things and the the reason that a room looks a certain way, a total loss or lack of comprehension of aesthetics, of actual design,
Yeah.
which, again, pushing up against the idea of our protagonist being a quote-unquote failed architect, I found really interesting.
I understand why they made him an architect.
Yeah.
Like it does fit in the movie, but I hate architects.
Why do you hate architects?
I hate TV architects. Everyone on TV, everyone in movies is an architect. They're either an architect, a lawyer, or a writer, right?
Okay.
It's like the only three jobs that people in Hollywood can think of.
Okay.
Or they're Ghostbusters or Terminators. Like that's it.
You're in real danger of listing everything in a movie ever at this point.
Or they're little mice that go west. Like that's it.
That's all there is.
That's all there is. Those are the major archetypes.
Yep. There are archetypes of architect, you'll be pleased to know, and I found this one quite endearing. There's nothing I like more than a insert job than a failed insert job.
Well, there is that. He is a fucking architect.
Yeah, good delivery on that line, I thought.
I think there's one of my major criticisms with this film is that there are no good line deliveries. I think everybody is fighting for their lives in this movie because apart from Mark Duplass, who is, playing a version of a character that he always plays.
And is
which
probably on set for about 42 minutes.
Yeah, and I like and respect. Everyone is absolutely fighting for their lives, desperately trying to give a coherent and cohesive performance in an accent that is not their own in a low budget movie. The guy from 12 Years a Slave, right? Chiwetel Ejiofor is one of our best actors.
Mm-hmm.
We have seen him give incredible performances.
Yeah.
And we're not seeing that here.
Do you not think? I'm quite surprised at this take, to be honest.
I think the accent work is just so bad.
The accent work is rough.
And it means that, like, when I'm watching Chiwetel Ejiofor and the woman that plays Mary, whose name is Renata Rensfer,
yeah,
when I'm watching both of them give their performances, they're really struggling to act through the accent because they're giving so much effort to try and get the accent right and failing. It's one of the main reasons why I don't connect with these characters. And I mean, there are other reasons why I don't connect with these characters, which we'll go into later. But that's one of them.
I thought her accent got a pass because I didn't realize she was trying to just be straight American. I thought she was supposed to be from, let's just say, for the sake of our American friends, Europe. And had maybe, picked up the American accent. Whereas Clark's character should be 100% Californian.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you get to be an actor of that, size, how you get to be someone who gets paid that much money and you can't do a decent American accent consistently. That blows my mind. He's slipping in and out of like a New York kind of dialect, and there's a lot of vowel shapes that are just totally English. So I found that to be the only, if I'm honest, the only real letdown in the entire production was that if that was a fucking airtight American accent, I wouldn't have been distracted at all throughout the entire movie. Thankfully, I thought the performance was really good. And because of that, I just sort of, I don't know, managed to tune it out a little bit. But I also think it's worth noting, me and you are real fucking sticklers for accent performances. And I bet a lot of people just won't notice this. Also, you watch dubbed giallos with absolutely no comment whatsoever on accent work.
Because that's part of the movie, the badness of the dubbing. And like you have to watch dubbed giallos because you can't watch non-dubbed giallos. They don't exist.
You should learn Italian. If you're a real fan, you'd learn Italian.
Well, no, because they're not
you should learn a fucking American accent.
And they're not in Italian. They're all dubbed into English.
Because they're in 6 different languages.
That's how they're made, yeah.
Yeah, it never sits right with me when a very big actor can't nail the accent of the role that they've been put into, because they've got all the resources on planet Earth at their disposal to learn how to do a fucking accent, and they know the script, so they just sound it out, bro. Figure it out. Like,
sure, but I don't think that to invoke good friend of the pod and give him his weekly nod, Nicolas Cage, right? There are directors that get nuanced, interesting, even if they are batshit performances with Nicolas Cage. And there are directors that just don't.
Yeah.
And the difference is how much time they have within the shoot to work with that actor, so they both understand what's happening and they both understand that there are enough takes to be like, okay, that one wasn't the one, so let's try another one.
Sure.
Whereas like I mean, this movie was maybe $10 million, which is still considered low budget,
Yeah.
especially when you're building 30,000 square foot of back rooms and then doing all the CGI on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would be surprised if Chiwetel 4 made more than scale on this.
Right.
And I assume has some points on the back end, but probably just made scale, which is like a very low wage.
But still, how old is this guy? He's over 40, right? He's got to be
Yeah.
maybe, for an acting career that long, you'd think you'd nail the broad American accent. I'm not talking like the nuance. I need you to be from a Kentucky border town. I just need you to be passably American.
But we've seen him give
Yeah.
good American accent performances before. I think that is part of the low budget and the greenness of Kane Parsons as director is like either not having the time or the money or the presence to be like, we need to do that again. The accent wasn't good. Or
It's funny because it's consistent though. That's the thing that gets me. It's like there's a certain roundedness to some of the, like I said, like some of the vowel shapes that are just like, that's your that's your natural native speaking accent. That's not the accent you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And I guess what you're saying is right, but the prerequisite prep, I don't know. I failed to see, like, you'll get actors who their accent work clearly gets better over time, right? I know he's not exactly Mr. Popular these days, but early Mel Gibson performances are almost hilarious how Australian he is.
Yeah.
And then gradually you see it become absolutely flawlessly American through immersion and practice and everything else. Same with people like Christian Bale, Hugh Jackman. These are guys who have fucking absolutely nailed that accent over time. I just would have really liked to have seen that in this movie. It would have really rounded off the rough edges a little bit because it's well within his wheelhouse, like you said. There's just something not quite happening there.
It's just like, think about you in your day job, right? You're good at your day job.
Says you.
But if you had a really good manager or a really bad manager,
yeah,
you would be different at your job. You'd be either worse at your job as a result or better at your job as a result.
Yeah.
And like, I think that, I'm not saying that he's a bad manager, Kane Parsons, just that like not necessarily having the time or the money or the skills or or whatever it is to be able to be like, look, this isn't working as it is. We know that you can do this. You're fucking Chiwetel 4. You're one of the best actors of the generation.
Yeah. Go back to your trailer with your dialect coach. Come back in 3 hours. I don't know, because you look at that Ray Winston performance in The Departed, and then you look at the caliber of the director, and there's something fucked happening there. I can't imagine trying to the mountain you have to climb to try and coach Ray Winston to have a passable anything accent at all.
Well, the thing about Ray Winston is we've never seen him give good accent.
No, apart from, I guess, what is he? He's probably East End. Yeah. Tough. So just here's another top tip: never cast him as anything other than an East Ender.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy. I wonder if that's ever happened. If someone's been like, oh yeah, you're supposed to be, from Saskatchewan, let's get you going. You maybe do like 2-3 days of filming, and the director realizes you can't fucking do it. You just cannot do it. And then they're like, do you know what? Fuck it. You're from Hartlepool. Like, just do the voice that you were born with. Do you know what I mean?
I think that has almost definitely happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mid-movie. Let's reshoot everything. He's now... he's from Gravesend. We're going back to the beginning, boys.
Yeah.
It was also, again, to reiterate, we are so picky about this. There'll be people who didn't even notice. Like, the people I went to the cinema with didn't even really pick up on it as a thing.
Yeah.
I think I'm just watching it very closely and enjoying the performance.
One thing that I liked and I wanted more of, and you get more of it in the short films that are available on YouTube, is I love a shady government organization.
Yes. Let's talk a little bit about this without spoilers, if you can.
I mean, obviously, they're the first thing we see in the movie. The character is, it's kind of tricky at the beginning because you don't know when it says async on the screen and we're showed this like VHS footage of someone going through the back rooms. Like I didn't know at that point whether async was just another production ident.
Yeah.
We see 4,000 of those before every movie now because it takes a million cooks to make some broth or whatever.
But then we see it in the credits at the beginning as well. It's utterly
Yeah.
pointless. But yeah, we don't know what that is, do we, to begin with? And then we've got men in hazmat suits, and we're initially
Yeah.
introduced to the idea that there's something, people are aware of this.
Yeah. And like, I think that's a really compelling way to start a movie, not just because I love VHS stuff.
Yeah.
I like one of the things that really freaks my nut about Kane Parsons is how obsessed he is with like this media that he has never experienced in like real time. And I think that's great. I think the idea that there are people out there that are sort of archivists of a thing that they weren't necessarily involved in. And that's what a lot of like, you know, historical archivists are like.
Yeah.
But the idea of like modern history archivists working makes me feel a little bit okay about the future of that kind of media, at least. Like, obviously, everyone's gonna die in a fucking supernova in 20 years anyway. So, like, whatever. But,
If
like,
we get that far, dude, AI in
yeah,
5, I'm saying. If we make it to 5, everything
yeah.
I've read today, I reckon maybe AI in 3. Who knows?
Is it a race between AI and the red button?
I mean, I think the two are becoming inexplicably intertwined, unfortunately. I totally understand what you're saying. I think there's different flavors of nostalgia, and it. I don't want to judge anyone for their nostalgia, really, but I do think there's some that's very, very useful and very, very creative, and I think that's a slightly more substantial sort of funnel for that nostalgia.
Yeah,
And when it comes from a young person, like you said, who isn't just sort of semi-brainlessly fetishizing a time that they never saw, or obsessing over like redundant tech because it's cool or whatever, if they're genuinely trying to create something out of that feeling, I think we all know what it's like to mourn or miss something we never had. You know, it's a strange kind of
yeah,
sad nostalgia, and that translates really well in this film. It feels like the wringing out of a creative sponge in a way, like lots of built up ideas and feelings around a certain aesthetic being kind of dumped into one place, versus, you know, sad old people just banging on about the past. You know, that's not fun
yeah,
for anyone really, apart from them, and that becomes
yeah.
self-indulgent,
Or
becomes
listeners of this
unhealthy.
podcast.
Exactly. Yeah. What's the point? What's the fucking point in any of this? But I do think it's not even a situation that like, oh, you get a pass if you weren't born when, you know, tape decks were around or whatever. But it's genuinely refreshing. I think also because you can have a slightly warped take on it.
Yeah,
You know, you're looking at it through a lens of through a lens. That's it, really, isn't it? You're not looking at it in person. You weren't there, bro. And I find that perspective in this instance very refreshing and deeply unnerving. I think he's using that technology in a way that is referential to the sort of menacing ways that it's used in other films that he probably likes. He's also doing something new and different with it, which is what's most compelling, I think, about the visuals.
he has reinterpreted it really well. Like the sort of the found footage, obviously it plays on some found footage stuff that already exists, and
Yeah.
it plays on some like analog stuff that we already see in like say the VHS movies and
Mhm.
whatever. So there is like recent precedent for this sort of stuff, but all of the directors and writers and producers involved in those movies were all around.
Mm.
Like YouTube existed before this guy was born.
Yeah.
Like, not even just like, not even
Yeah.
like VHS. Like, fucking, we were already in YouTube.
You and me were totally used to YouTube by the time this guy was born.
Well, I don't know if that because I think YouTube. He's 20 this year,
Yeah.
and YouTube came out in 2005. So maybe we were just getting to grips with YouTube.
I was all in on day one.
Were you? You were.
I had some serious favorites. Like me and I've got a couple of mates. We were literally joking yesterday about some of our early favorite YouTube videos. It like made such an impression on me.
Mm.
The fucking like day one, basically, it was crazy.
I think like yeah, the reinterpretation of like VHS through the eyes and like not even VHS but like 90s culture
Yeah,
through the eyes of someone who wasn't there but has a good understanding of it through like you know their digital archivism or like the archives that exist and that they can weave in and out of,
yeah.
but without feeling like massively beholden to that was really it was probably the best thing about the movie apart from the vibes generally of the back rooms I thought were really creepy.
Yeah, I enjoyed it because it was used sparingly. I think that
Yeah,
was important. And for me, any movie where you're going to omit the existence of phones, you've either got to come up with a really good present day reason, excuse, whatever plot device, or you're setting it in the past, pre phones, and you're going to have to lean into a very, at times, costly aesthetic, or you're just going to have to do it really well and really sparingly.
yeah. I think there's an aesthetic of the '90s that you can find quite easily, but there's a sort of emotional landscape. Like people were just sort of different.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
you
mean?
mean?
Like there was just sort of like a if you were doing like a British film that was set in like 1992,
Yeah.
there was a kind of beaten down optimism in everybody's because we all lived through the 80s and Thatcher and like
Tony Blair
the
was literally shouting optimism at us every day on
yeah
TV. Yeah.
and like but we were all well, we weren't all working class, but like a lot of people like were working class and like
Knackered.
yeah, completely fucked, but had this sort of intrinsic optimism because we got through Thatcher and we got
Mm.
through like all of that horrible stuff. And like, you know, things can only get better by D Ream is blasting out of the stereo while you're fucking hitting bricks with a pickaxe. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What was your job back then?
Well, my job
Oh,
was
I'm a brick breaker. They make the bricks down the pit. They bring them to me and I break them. We put them back in there. We make them again. And the economy collapsed. Who'd have thought?
it's a circle of life, baby, you know.
Yep.
A lot of people had these sort of menial jobs
Mm.
and they were told every day optimism that we'd been through the 80s, we've been through all fucking Harry Enfield yelling loads of money at you and
Yeah.
it being like a big aspirational thing to be like wealthy, independently wealthy or whatever.
Mm.
But then like it's basically what America is like now and has always been like. We started to get a bit more American.
Well, yeah, you're right. Recreating a tone of an era is a lot more challenging than just, I don't know, doing Stranger Things or whatever. There's layers to creating an atmosphere that's era appropriate, maybe even specifically a year and a place. And I think this movie works incredibly hard on the sense of place of the Backrooms, and the rest of it gels really nicely. I think there's
Yeah.
no moment where I'm yanked out of this specific setting.
I think you're so right. I think like there's not one moment in this. There's not one reference to a brand. There's not one like, oh, did you watch Who's the Boss last night
Yeah.
when you got home from watching Ghostbusters 2? Like it's and that's literally all of Stranger Things is that.
Yeah, there's no massively on the nose, like you see what's written on the tape as he slides it into the Walkman. Like nothing is screaming at you. These are things that were from this time, remember? You know,
Yeah.
it's far more subtle, it's far more artistic. And for what I don't really care what the reasoning is behind that. I hope it's just part of the artistic vision. But it really works and it really creates a realness. It doesn't feel like Hollywood bullshit the whole way through.
No.
It feels like an earnest attempt to create a true sense of atmosphere and a true sense of place. And I just
Yeah.
think it hits every single time. Every establishing shot feels completely real.
Yeah.
Every image of the town or the area or modes of transport or anything like that feels thoroughly, I don't want to say lived in, but it really does. It actually feels like a real
Yeah.
place.
I think like the nearest thing to these on the nose touch points would be like the adverts that we see
Yeah.
three different adverts in the movie. The advert for Captain Clark's Ottoman Empire,
Yeah.
cowboy fucking Cletus's Clitoris Dungeon or whatever it was,
And the other one, we get it.
and
this like stiff competition, American independent businessman furniture barn shit. Yeah.
yeah, and then we see the therapists like cassettes
On tape or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And like those are the nearest thing. And those are like maybe apart from the one that we see being filmed in real time,
Yeah.
those are kind of the worst things because it's a little bit too on the nose. I think they've established the time without needing to resort to that. I think Kane Parsons just likes the aesthetic of those.
Quite possibly. Yeah. I mean, they are funny, I guess.
Yeah.
And they're probably extra funny to a 20-year-old who's got no frame of reference. Well, I don't know, because America still does that and does it to the 1000th degree with political adverts that literally smear and attack opponents. These it happens all over the internet now. These small town businesses going viral because of their reels or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a romanticism to it, and also as a plot device, I love it because watching that being filmed is agony.
Yeah.
It's deeply saddening, and I think that's some of his best performance work because he's so sad and dead behind the eyes doing that shit, but so frantic and desperate. I thought it was incredibly fun.
Why don't we take another break and we'll do some spoilers from now?
Good idea. Bonnie dick.
Come on, man. Does that thing even work? No. There's nothing out there. It's just dead air.
I'm back. I'm ready to spoil this movie. Are you ready to spoil this movie?
I'm going to ruin this bad boy.
So, my biggest issue with this film is the fucking CGI Backrooms pirate Clark thing. I hated it so much.
Really?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I loved it.
So, right. This is me being mad at you here.
Before we've even talked about it, you've got notes about how angry you are.
So I wrote in my notes that I hated the Clark monster so much. It looks exactly like that first reanimated corpse thing in Del Toro's Frankenstein. It has the same uncanny valley, not natural movement that could only be CGI. It could never be anything. You would never be like, well, maybe they made it real.
I thought it was a costume.
No, you didn't.
I honestly did. I didn't for a second think that was CGI. Honestly, I thought it was such an unnerving texture that I thought it was some kind of foam. Because obviously when we're in spoilers now, when he's cutting or ripping chunks out of people, I couldn't tell if I assumed that was at least touched up because it didn't look like an earthly material. But the actual giant pirate on first sight, I was like, that's real. That's in the room.
I think what that is a very tall man in a fucking Green Man morph suit.
Right.
And
do you know for sure that it's not real?
No.
Interesting.
If it is real, that's worse because it's like you've made it real, but you've made you're so CGI brained that that's how you interpret that monster.
I find that really interesting because I just, I looked at some stills afterwards and I just thought it looked wholly convincingly real because not wholly convincingly real. I thought it was totally appropriate for the environment it was in because it's a copy of a copy of a copy or a copy of a memory or whatever we think this might be. It's cartoonish, grotesque. It's got this layer of spitting image puppet that I love. It's warped. It looks real in the environment in terms of how the light's hitting it and how it's moving. And it has a real squishy quality to it that is deceptive because it's hard. And obviously he's very tactile and he attacks people and things clunk into him, etc. But I didn't look at that at all and think, oh no, bad CGI.
I did.
Wow.
It was one of the he looks like a character in in Fallout 3 or something.
But what I like is that he looks like almost like a baddie in a PlayStation 1 game cosplayed or parading at Disney or something. That's what's so warped about it for me.
Yeah.
It's just something, I found it really unnerving. And I thought, again, we can happily disagree on this, but I thought it was such a surprise as a baddie. Do you know what I mean? I'm sitting there the whole way through the movie thinking, at some point we're going to see what's down there and it's going to ruin it. It's going to be a xenomorphy creature and it's going to suck from then on out because it always does. And it did, that was such a payoff seeing that massive, lumbering, creepy, messed up version of what I thought was our protagonist lumbering through this already fucking horrifyingly warped world. I just fully bought in.
So an issue that I have with the movie generally is that I think it works as a standalone story about Clark and his demons and his experience with this other version of himself.
Yeah.
But That feels to me like it's at odds with what the Backrooms as a franchise, quote unquote, is trying to do.
Right.
It feels like we're trying to build lore around this wider universe that is, the Backrooms, and the shady MRI company are like investigating async are like investigating this area and trying to map it and figure it out. And that seems at odds with the contained story here, which is just about Clark. And I also don't really understand what we're going to call the monster. Let's call it Captain Clark, right?
Yeah,
So
Captain Clark.
we'll do Clark and we'll do Captain Clark. So like, I don't really understand what Captain Clark is,
Nor do I. Not at all.
because obviously all of the, again, we're in spoilers, all of the other creatures that live in the Backrooms seem to be fairly benign.
But also behave inexplicably to me and in ways that make me understand the film less. Someone I was at the cinema with thought that the female character, messed up face, red dress lady,
It's his
was
wife,
his
right?
wife.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't clock that at all.
So you see
who's the guy? Who's the other guy?
I don't know who the other guy is, or the guy in the wheelchair.
So again, I find that slightly confusing. I don't.
But we see a photo of him and his wife early doors, and she's got red hair, like and then in that scene where he's like talking and he's sort of gesturing at the big guy with the big hair and the guy in the wheelchair, and he's like referring to them. He never really brings himself. He like gestures towards the woman.
Yeah.
And also cuts off her hair and uses it in the role play with his therapist.
That's why I was surprised. That didn't marry up for me, really. Didn't get that.
I read somewhere that their headcanon was like he had done something to his wife and ended up in like state mandated therapy rather than like, I think it's headcanon, so like, it's not text in the movie, but like he ended up in like state mandated therapy, and that's why he was forced to like relive those moments in his therapy over and over and over again, and why he's so antagonistic towards his therapist.
Yeah, so it could be more of an anger management type therapy than what it feels like on first run. Yeah, I could see that being a possibility. I had a bit of a disconnect. Again, I was just sort of enjoying the experience so much. I didn't really care about the plot. But I had this sort of disconnect
the movie feels the same way, I think. And that's
but the population of this place are not solely generated by Clark's consciousness, and the people exploring, mapping, experimenting, whatever they're doing in the place, are shocked to see Clark there.
Yeah,
but they already know about the existence of Clarkzilla, of Pirate Clark.
Yeah,
so
Captain Clark.
So I don't fully understand what's happening in there.
We don't know when in the movie the scene from the beginning actually takes place.
No, correct.
That could be at any point in the narrative, because it stands alone.
Yeah.
One thing that we do know is that, so on my second watch through, I clocked that basically they put those cavemen cutouts that do the golden recording.
Yeah, I thought they were Jesus, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, don't know who that is.
I thought it was just a caveman.
To some people, Jesus is just a caveman.
Yeah, that's true. But they put those where they know that the creature has been.
Yeah, because we find out later that they trigger an intoxicating or.
Well, they don't always do that, because like when Clark finds one early on, that's the same room where the guy at the beginning gets got by Captain Clark. It just looks different because it doesn't have the stuff on the walls.
Interesting.
And
I also don't understand the rationale of that particular trap, but we can come back to that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to work.
I can't figure out if they're trying to attract Captain Clark and then knock him out and capture him, or if they're supposed to be safe places you can kind of go to, and that doesn't make any sense because the person arriving there gets gassed too. They seem like, obviously there's an attempt at communication happening there. Every language on Earth seems to be projecting a message. So why are you gassing people who get there? I'm not entirely sure.
Well, so that one's a trap, but I don't think they're all a trap because like
Oh, maybe they're not all traps then. Okay.
the one that Clark ends up at early on, that's in
Mm.
that room that has, you know, 4 walls but only one door.
I thought you just didn't trigger it. I thought maybe it was rigged, but you didn't trigger it. I don't know. There's no way of knowing, I guess.
No, so like it's very obvious that the one that's rigged is rigged because it's like in the middle of all these 4 canisters,
Right.
whereas that one's just like near a door.
Okay.
And I think that's at that point they're like, we'll put these wherever we see the monster
Mm.
or a creature, and we'll try and communicate with it. And then I guess at that point, maybe later they've learned that they can't communicate with it, or that it'll just attack all of these things.
Right.
And so they use that as a trap then. But I don't really understand it either. Well, another thing that I don't really understand that I thought was laid out twice in the movie and then almost a third time, but then not really, is that like, so that room that has the camera in it, that where they clock Clark, that is the same room as the room that the guy ends up in at the beginning and gets got by Captain Clark.
Mm-hmm.
My take on that, plus his like employee, his assistant manager, being knocking on the window and being like, "Can you see me?" And he can't see it because there's no window there.
Yeah.
Made me think that like you perceive the back rooms differently depending on who you are.
Right.
And there was a moment when Mary walks into the back rooms through the door that Clark's gone through a bunch of times. And when she goes through, there's not that big pile of furniture there. And I was like, okay, so this is them showing that it's different. But I think he's just moved that furniture at that point.
Yeah, I think you moved it. I agree. One of my first thoughts was, oh God, everything like moves while you're walking around and everything becomes different.
Yeah, like an
It-
Escher.
Yeah, like an Escher or a maze or, you know, all this kind of weird shit. But then I thought it's just architecturally maddening and it's doing things that obviously aren't possible. So yeah, she's perceiving a mirror, a two-way mirror, a wall with that's transparent or whatever, and he just can't see it because it's impossible geometry. It defies
Yeah.
physics, and I like that, and I like not really understanding all of these things. Like, why does Captain Clark have a lair full of clothing? First of all, like if he's eating people and leaving their clothing there, okay, but then why is the shirt of someone he hasn't eaten yet there? Why is that
Well,
happening?
So I took that as the shirt of the back rooms twink.
The
rather
version
than-
of him, but why is he
Yeah.
already there? And why is he eating a Backrooms version of him? Don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't understand any of it really.
Yeah,
And like he doesn't. There's nothing that suggests that he doesn't eat the clothes, apart
No.
from all the clothes. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
In a well-made film like this, I'm enjoying all these unanswered questions
Oh,
because
yeah, me too.
they're not flaws to me. They're just I don't really want him to be like, here's everything explained. I don't want to watch one of those YouTube videos that tells you everything.
No.
But the thing that absolutely hooked me right through the nips and reeled me in is one line. I think it's the best line in the entire movie. I think it's perfectly placed. It's driven me insane ever since. Is when Mark Duplass says that they used to make MRI machines.
Yeah.
That could be so benign and such
Yeah.
filler nothing that it just passes by and nobody pays it a second glance, or it could be the most pivotal and important clue in the entire movie, and we will never know. We can only speculate. So it's one of those tiny little throwaway comments that tells you an entire film's worth of information.
Yeah.
And my main criticism that I thought I was having in the moment is I can't fucking believe they're ending this movie here. There must be 5 minutes left, and we've only just got to, you know, the lab or whatever you want to call it. How the fuck are they going to resolve this? And then obviously when they don't, I left the theater feeling completely satisfied still somehow. I found
Yeah.
that to be kind of, I would go as far as say genius pacing because it kept me so off balance the entire time, and it defied the expectation that there would be a lengthy resolve. It doesn't do that. It gives you the start of 10 more films and then tells you you're done. See you later.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about like directors who are either like fairly new or like work outside of the usual system and have not had the Hollywood like trained into them
Yeah.
being able to like just do different things because they just sort of perceive things differently from not being part of that system. And I think like the pacing of this movie is is really indicative of that. It's like, and there are a lot of Hollywood people involved in this.
Hmm.
Like, you've got a bunch of people behind the scenes to the point where people think that, you know, Zach Kreger or whatever ghost directed this. There's no evidence of that. And Mark Duplass has come out and literally said, no, that's bullshit.
Hmm.
Um,
And he himself, a director,
yeah. And like, there's lots of Hollywood folk, people who are maybe even fairly fresh to Hollywood themselves, but like are still involved in the studio system, being involved in the making of this. But like, the fact that it's paced how it's paced, it's a testament to Kane Parsons as a director and his vision for the project. Love it or hate it. I mean,
Mm.
I really struggled with the pacing in my first viewing because I thought, like, I don't like these characters and it's annoying to spend this amount of time with them. And then I don't even like them and they're not resolved.
Yeah.
It's the Woody Allen joke of like, oh, this food's terrible. Yeah, in such small portions.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I agree. But I think that's wonderfully defiant and testament to his youth and bravery, probably. Like
yeah,
you say, a lot of young directors are just keen to do whatever it takes to get rich and famous. And this is somebody who that might be, part of their drive or whatever, but it's not their primary thing. Their primary thing is
yeah.
semi iconoclastic storytelling. Um
Yeah, that's
and,
why, like,
and
when I went back to it the second time, when I knew we were going to cover it, and I was like, okay, I'll watch it again,
yeah.
not needing to hang my experience on the narrative of these characters,
Yeah.
made it so much easier to enjoy because I knew that that wasn't going to get resolved. I could just sort of live in the back rooms for a bit, and that's
Yeah.
a much nicer place to be than in Clark's head.
Yeah, and I quite enjoy. It's not that I enjoy when Clark dies, but I like being led to believe this film is about one person and their perspective. And when that perspective starts to fall apart, we just kill him and get a new one, and then we
Yeah,
find out that that's somehow an even richer and more interesting story to tell. It's a real, relay race
yeah,
in narrative terms, and then I actually really enjoyed being around those characters, enjoyed the arcs, enjoyed the insight into their past and their lives, and sort of looking inside their head a little bit. And I would normally be maddened at the prospect of having a fun, interesting, scientific, potentially military, industrial, complex mystery be solved in that way, and having that taken away from me would normally drive me to tears.
yeah,
But I just thought it was done so well that I walked away and wrote 10 movies in my head afterwards and, had a great time. I think there's so
yeah.
much to be said for giving the audience some room to be intelligent for a change.
The implication there, if you're not aware, from the short films, is that they created the Backrooms when an MRI machine malfunctioned.
That's exactly what I assumed. And that's what we talked about all the way home, walking
Yeah,
painfully slowly so that we could talk about it as much as possible. I assumed that, yeah, this was some sort of mental mechanical malfunction that had manifested a reality that they can't control, otherwise known as artificial intelligence. I was reading so many parallels with what's going on with AI at the moment all the way through. And it was nice to have that thematically explored without mentioning it, without
yeah.
hinting at it, without it being anything to do with the film, just to summon that dread.
Do you think that that's intentional? Do you think that Kane Parsons is talking about AI without having to mention AI, or do you think that it's just like the same way that like Godzilla was about like the atomic bomb without there having to be, all of that stuff?
Yeah, I think it's really sophisticated socio-political storytelling because it's like you said, it's bringing it in without showing us. It's
Yeah.
a ghostly specter of a theme.
But what I mean is, do you think that he's like, okay, I want to write same way that like, I don't know, someone like whoever would write, I want to write a story about generational trauma, but I want it to be a horror movie.
Yeah.
Do you think it's that, or do you think it's just like the concept of AI is so scary? I'm not even consciously writing this story about AI.
Yeah, yeah.
I just sort of live in the world that is scared of this, the same way that like all of those people were scared of like the atom bomb,
Yeah,
and so like the atomic age of horror was all around that, even
of
though
course.
we weren't talking about the atom bomb, We were
We
just
weren't actually doing Bond movies. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it might be that I'm and a lot of audience members are bringing baggage and then loading that into a movie where it's got gaps or where some of the themes don't marry up. But that to me is a really important part of watching a film. You know, you bring your own bullshit to it and then you interpret it however you interpret it and you share those thoughts, and that's the dialogue around the
yeah.
art.
And you join a
Um,
Reddit and you start talking about 1920 brick or whatever, and
exactly. But that's another part of the mystique that I love. I don't think we'll ever know that. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who's rushing out there to explain his art. He seems like the kind
yeah.
of person who's letting it speak for itself, which
Well,
again, I just love.
I think he is out there, but I am purposefully trying to avoid that stuff now. I think
Sure.
I'll listen to a commentary, but like I've decided to regulate the amount of time that I spend with my creatives because it just hurts everything. I don't need to watch fucking Tom Hiddleston and whoever arguing over what's better, British or American tweets, or all of this shit that we have to wade through now.
I don't wade anywhere near those waters.
Well,
No thanks.
they're very wadeable, but also very shallow. A couple of quick things from me. My issue with some of the Clark stuff outside of the Captain Clark stuff is that I don't think this is the right venue for human beings are the real baddies.
Mm.
And this might be because of the liminality of the time scale of the movie and how we don't know what the time frame has been and we don't know how long he's been there. And they don't mark it with like facial hair or anything like that to even give us a hint of a passage of time. He's just now insane.
Do you think that's what it was though? Humans are baddies. That wasn't.
Well, he's the baddie, right?
Yeah, but my take was that too much introspection drives you insane. You know, her breakdown as a therapist was sort of like an outward acknowledgement that some of this is just navel gazing bullshit. Like some of it's really helpful and some of it's, you know, really exploring and plumbing the depths of the human soul and the mind and everything else. But if you're just locked in a strange reality with yourself for too long, analyzing your behavior, you'll go fucking insane and hurt people even more.
But he's not in there with himself. Like when Captain Clark comes into the house, he's like, "What are you doing here? Like you don't belong here. You don't live here." So like he's in there just like, you know, going completely insane, realizing that like he can't hurt anybody in there is the thing. Like he can do whatever he wants to people and they won't feel any pain.
The best part is you can eat them.
The best part is you can eat them.
That's quite a marketable line.
What I mean is like this isn't Alien or Aliens. Like we don't need a Carter Burke situation here. The alien is enough.
But I think it's important that the alien is him. That Captain Clark is him. There's something happening that I haven't fully wrapped my noodle around yet, where he's in therapy. This is his therapist coming in to effectively try and save him, and she has been trying to save him, and she gets to a point where she acknowledges she cannot save him or anyone because he has to do the work. He has to make the changes. He has to do the hard things, and he obviously hasn't. He's completely missed the point and become this rage-filled, violent.
And at that exact moment is when his baser instincts literally devour him, like Saturn devouring his son. Like it's
exactly after he's been shown to be maybe not to have gone so insane but he's reached a point where he has completely disconnected from the possibility of re-entering what we, the audience, knows as reality. He has the choice to leave. I think he knows the way out.
Yeah.
He said he likes it there. He feels safe. He can eat people and he can walk around looking at stuff.
It's the, you know, the choking out his therapist and dragging her to this unknown place. Like, you don't need to do that. You could just be happy there without having to do that.
Yeah, that was the moment where I still was with him. I thought he's doing this for a reason. He can't have her being loud or it will come and munch her or whatever. And I thought, nice little misdirect. Now people are going to think he's gone bonkers and he's going to try and kill her or something. But he's not. And then he very much was.
Yeah.
Again, kept me on the balls of my feet.
I still would like to try and understand what Captain Clark is and why he's different to everything else that's in there.
Same. Like why he's a big monstrous presence versus a meek and terrified, you know, like the woman character, his wife, whoever she is,
Yeah.
runs away and scrabbles against the wall in terror.
Is it that no, I mean it isn't, because it already exists in there prior to Clark spending any real time in there. But is it that it's how he sees himself, and it's manifested how he sees himself, and the manifestations of other characters
Yeah, that's what I thought.
are also how he sees them, and that's why they're not horrible monsters, although he does think his wife is out of order.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I thought that that was definitely a manifestation of potentially like an image of himself that he's deeply ashamed of. You know, something he's locked away. He obviously wasn't having a lot of fun shooting that promo. He doesn't like being a furniture salesman. Maybe on some level thinks he's grotesque. And obviously, big and violent and powerful is a concern of his. Through we see through the therapy, but I then don't understand if the other people are mental or emotional projections of those real people, or if they're not real. And he gives this whole speech about how they're like copies of copies, or whatever he says, and that doesn't track with the physical manifestation of your worst version of yourself in your mind.
No, and also like he sees himself as a victim rather than as the perpetrator. So it's more likely that it would be entirely the opposite if this was a projection of his brain.
Yeah,
He would be the meek thing, and everyone else would be the big grotesque monsters chasing it.
yeah, unless it's a very, very, very deep buried projection, because what he's saying in therapy doesn't strike me as being. We're given the impression he's been in therapy for a little while, but it doesn't feel particularly far down the line in terms of his growth and his acknowledgement of his culpability or his responsibility or anything that he does in life. You're right; he's very much on a victim treadmill. But again, it's the only part of the movie where I get a bit pissed off that I don't know what it is, because it's quite important. And part of me thinks it's just a big fun puppet show, and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I think that is completely what it is, and that is fine, and that's why this film I think works as a character's journey or two characters' journeys through this one situation, but it undercuts the law that they're trying to build with async and stuff.
Yeah.
Like they kind of bristle against each other because they're sort of two different movie universes happening in the same universe.
Yeah, but I also like that they don't have a fucking clue what's going on.
Yeah.
Because that's a good, that's a pretty good ripcord to pull, to say we used to make MRIs and these doors are popping up everywhere. It's total exasperated, classic like defeated scientist stuff that I absolutely love. And it doesn't seem like they have a facility really. It itself seems like a back room where they are.
Yeah.
And the sort of, with the fact we know that they're being killed because of the opening scene, the fact we know it's being bungled, the fact we don't know if it's government or private or hidden, or the fact we have no idea what's going on. They have no handle on it. They go home to houses where they have families at the end of the day. It's all so like wonderfully ominous and sort of painted with this out of control technology idea that stuck with me big time. Because no one would really argue that MRI machines are bad. Do you know what I mean? I don't think anyone's out there saying we shouldn't be able to do this. But it's
that character from the most recent Final Destination movie might disagree with me.
Oh yeah, that was pretty brutal. Yeah, yeah. No, there was a lot happening there in one little sentence that kind of made the movie for me. And I love that it was Duplass as well. Like I'm becoming very, very fond of him, and I love Lakita Maxwell. I thought she was brilliant in this. Not in it enough at all for my money.
I read, just going back to the sort of that last moment that we see in the movie where she's being interviewed by Mark Duplass's character.
Yeah.
So I read that the shot that we see of like her as a back roomie, whatever she is her back roomie being born in real time.
Oh.
I didn't get that in the watching of the movie. What did you think was happening there? Like, why do we just sort of cut to the sort of backroom version of her in a room that is identical to the room that she's in, but a carpeted orange backrooms version of it? Like, what's happening there?
So, is that theory to imply that the specific line of questioning or the thing that's happening at that moment spawns her in a way?
Potentially, yeah.
Interesting.
Or like because she's been in the back rooms and maybe is still in the back rooms. We have no idea where this facility is.
Exactly.
We know that there are clouds visible, but the windows
real?
The windows are high up. Like they're static clouds. So like who knows? Is the back rooms remembering her and then describing her to the rest of the back rooms, and like a dog or whatever the line is from the movie.
Yeah, that's how I read it. I read it as a fairly simple cut to something that's happening concurrently. Essentially, look what you've
Yeah,
left behind, kind of thing, because the Backrooms has experienced you in some way, whether it's through somebody else's consciousness or your own. You've been cloned, I guess, and put in that place. But it's an interesting portrayal of her because she's in such a meek position and she seems so beaten and sad, and we do see sadness in, I think, or blankness in all of the characters, but they're not all completely benign. So I thought obviously like the body position and the actual action that she was taking was telling. I mean, she reached quite a low place, I think, in the movie in terms of everything we see of her outside of her professional life. She's grappling with a lot of things that have happened to her in the past,
yeah,
and she's not coping particularly well with things that are happening in the present. So again, her loop isn't fully resolved, but seeing that version of her fills in the gaps, and it feels like it could be a mental projection, it could be a memory, it's something to do with the mind, and that's
yeah,
why we're talking about MRI machines, and that's all we've got.
yeah.
That's all the evidence.
I think like there's a moment where we cycle through one room as it becomes more and more back roomsy,
Yeah,
and like devolves from like the normal room into like we sort of go down several stories of that same room, and as
it's
it
like
becomes,
variations of
yeah.
wrongness.
So
Yeah.
are there like, variations of people who live in the back rooms and they become less and less human the further down they go, and the
Mm.
Captain Clark has found his way from floor 10 back up to floor 1? Or
Mm.
I mean, I don't know, because like they again, we don't explore the space in real time. We sort of feel like we do, but we don't.
Yeah.
So we have no idea how long or how far they've got to when he goes in with his assistant manager and his little Twinkie mate.
Hmm.
Like how deep they are then. But I mean, it looks pretty fucked up. Like the walls are actually the ceiling, and the floor and the doors are all on their side. So like, have we gone
Yeah.
really far in, or does it just like devolve really quickly?
Is it just
Like,
sudden? Yeah. I mean, the absolutely nauseating edge of your seat scene with the ramp up to the door above the, I assume, infinite drop was quite telling for me because it shows the true, well, as much of the true scale as you can possibly conceive of, I guess. My
yeah,
interpretation is that it's infinite, and if it's not, much like the universe, if it's not constantly expanding, at X rate, it's expanding as you walk into it. And
yeah.
that's fucking brain busting stuff. And I really enjoyed seeing that. And the people that I was sat with were at various stages of crawling out of their skin at that heights scene. Claire, especially, was not having much fun.
Yeah, there's like what game is it? No Man's Sky, where the space is just infinite, and like it's just constantly generating based on like what it knows about space or whatever. I don't know if there's AI involved, if it's just like here are 1,000 different things, put them in any order, and they'll always be different, like pin numbers or whatever.
Yeah.
So like it's constantly generating like space forever. Is
Yeah.
it Destiny, No Man's Sky? So I don't know, one of those games that I've not
I know
played.
Destiny's massive. I don't know how far it goes.
Yeah. Like, I wonder if Backrooms is just sort of the same. It's just like it'll go as long or as far as you go.
Yeah. As long as you can survive. Yeah. I find it interesting that Clark is, Pirate Clark, Captain Clark is kind of an apex predator.
Yeah.
We're led to believe at the beginning, and then we find out what he is. And he's top of the food chain in a place with no food, really. Like I really am struggling to understand these piles of clothes and whether that was just sort of a symbol of menace, like there's something in here eating
Yeah.
people, or and the bad smell, all of that stuff was
Well, and we know that he's in there because there's a caveman cutout in there as well. And so
right.
basically, like Async know that he's in there,
Yeah.
and have put a cardboard cutout because they're trying to communicate with him.
Yeah.
I don't, again, I don't understand the movie, but it's a cool place to be, and presumably we're gonna see fucking 10 more of them.
I'm really hoping we don't, and that's the absolute end, because that would be the real fuck you move.
Well, I think what Kane Parsons has said is that he's going to go back and just carry on making stuff in YouTube, which I respect that more than anything.
Yeah,
I
same.
mean, I'm sure he'll still make stuff in Hollywood. I'm
I
sure.
mean, I also don't think this is in any way the limit of his
No.
creative spectrum. It seems to be one idea fully realized, and I'd almost be be a bit disappointed to see it carry on. I'd love to see. I'm not about to cry, by the way. So it sounded like I was about to cry. My voice is giving up on me, which is good because I've got a show in Leeds tomorrow. Um, it's more the fact that because so much of this film feels like such a solid fuck you, it would be so sick to just walk away from it. This is unresolved. It doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense. It's an art piece. Enjoy your life. My next movie is probably a Marvel movie.
Yeah, almost definitely.
Right, let's wrap this fucker up.
Okay, so even the first time I watched this, I had a visceral and insane feeling as I left the cinema. A busy screening, first screening I saw this on. I mean, it was a Saturday morning, so it wasn't like the busiest it was going to be, but it was pretty busy for a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I'm a guy that goes to the cinema on Saturday mornings quite a lot, like the sort of 11 a.m. showing, and very often there are maximum 12 to 20 people in there.
Yeah.
And this was like, there was more like 40, 50, which is a testament to just how popular this is. And it is massively, insanely popular. But even with that many people in the screening, when I left, I walked out into an empty cinema. There was nobody there.
Right.
And I felt incredibly unnerved just by like the weirdness of cinemas generally. They feel sort of backroomsy. They feel like weird liminal spaces between like, you know, reality and these sort of fantastic fictional worlds.
Plus enormous wastes of space everywhere.
Yeah.
So badly designed. But
And
yeah.
like they're sort of Kubrickian and long, and the carpet is weird, and they smell sort of odd, and the dimensions are just sort of strange because they're weird buildings that they've made big rooms for lots of people to sit in, and then like weird corridors that kind of have to work around those big rooms in order to make them functional.
Yeah, and by the nature of the sort of economic system they exist in, they're quite often in empty shopping malls, which is equally terrifying. Yeah.
So I just was very unnerved by that. And that was the first, even when on my first viewing where I didn't really enjoy the movie, I still walked out and was like, well, this is unnerving me. So that must have affected me on some sort of level.
Yeah.
I think I find it more interesting than good.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has some amazing ideas, some stabs at performances that pretty hit and miss. I think it loses steam in the narrative way sooner than it should. But again, on my second viewing, I knew that was going to happen, and I just was able to disengage from that and enjoy it for what it was.
Sure.
Like, we don't need to get deep into symbolism around like cycles of abuse and commentary about hurt and, you know, letting your baser instincts literally devour you, because it's basically text of the movie. There's no subtext here. I mean, it's very obvious what they're saying and what they're trying to say about like relationships.
Sure.
The AI thing I do think is quite interesting though, and I just think it's just a cool place to be. And I think that like I walked away and was like, okay, there are what 3 hours worth of short films. I'll watch them.
Mm.
And like that's not, I mean, I'm a guy that consumes a lot of media, but like, I didn't walk away from it being like this Kane Parsons kid. He's going nowhere.
Sure.
Like, I think he's got a real career ahead, and I think that if we see more from him in the back rooms, then I'll watch that. If we see more from him in other non backrooms narratives, I'll probably watch them too, especially if they're fucking Marvel movies. So I'm going to give this 28 out of 40 labyrinthine passageways.
Spicy little rating.
What about you? Do you want a summation uppercut?
It's a 7.7 chunks of stomach on a plate out of 10 for me, because the experience of watching it in the cinema was basically perfect. And I think a movie like this should be watched in the cinema ideally, and you should walk away from it with people and have a chat about it, because it's a real art piece and a lot of food for thought. I think it's a vision fully realized. It doesn't feel rushed. It feels like this is a world that someone's put an enormous amount of thought and meticulous craftsmanship into, and they've come to a point where they've been able to fully realize it on, as far as we can tell, on their own terms, and in a way that is truly tense and truly unnerving, visually beautiful, and populated with probably the best performances you could get for your money. Absolutely. So I think it absolutely nails its job, and it's really the subversion that I respect and admire and enjoy the most, and the way that I felt strung along for so much of the movie in such a rewarding way. It wasn't a simple experience of watching this film. You're left with a lot of complex feelings and a lot to unpick, and I've got an enormous amount of respect for that. So I really think this was a bit of a, I think it's deserving of the hype. I think it's a bit of a smash hit. And yeah, I was still thinking about it 3 days later. So I think that's testament to the quality of the filmmaking. Big fan.
Well, I'll tell you what you should look forward to is engaging with us via cash money on our Patreon, patreon.com/final transmission, where you can find uncut, unedited video and podcast versions of this episode and many, many others like it.
Uncut studs on Patreon.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Do that. And also follow us on social media. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, at FT Horror Show, your social media platform of choice. Go there, drop us a follow, tell your friends about the podcast. Make sure you're subscribed on whatever you're listening to this on. Make sure you leave us a little rating, a little review, and make sure you come back next week for our next final transmission. Say goodbye, Sam.
Goodbye, Sam.
Goodbye, everybody.